Namaskar and welcome to Gazali. Our country, as you know, has participative and representative democracy. But people, if you see, don't get the chance to participate because our governments, our bureaucracy, our politicians, our administrations still operate under veil of secrecy. People, if they don't get good information about their governments, how they will make good decisions. This is the problem we have been facing for over the years. After 60 years of liberation of the country, independence, in 2007, country got an act which was a very empowering act for the citizens. It was called Right to Information Act, through which people got a right to ask for information from their government and get it as a right. Unfortunately, still our bureaucracies and our politicians are unwilling to share information with citizens. That is why we have a lot of activists across the country who struggle and who fight for people's right to get this information. We have with us for Gazali today such an activist from Pune. He is a retired Major General, SCN Jatar. Welcome, Mr. Jatar, to our program.
Thank you.
Mr. Jatar is the president of Nagarik Chetana Manch Pune. It is an institution or an activist group which is working towards right to information, that is empowering the people in this democracy. Mr. Jatar, Major General Jatar was here in Goa to attend one-day session on right to information in Madkai village. Mr. Jatar, I would like to ask you one question. As I said, after 60 years, we got this right to information, but still we find that mindset of the bureaucracy, mindset of the politician is to function beyond veil of secrecy and away from citizens. Access to information is still a dream. How you see this? How we can call this empowering of people?
Yeah, actually you are very right. You see, this is a legacy which is handed down to us.
Yeah.
We have had more than 1200 years of foreign rule. First the Muslim rule and then the British rule. They looted our country, is well known. Yeah. Now this is the crux of the problem. Yeah. When the ruler, he loots the wealth of the citizens, he doesn't want the citizens to know.
Yeah.
Now this mindset was handed down to our rulers. Now I will say our founding fathers, they were outstanding personalities. So they didn't want to hide anything, but over the years I think the moral fabric has lessened. It's become very weak. So the same reason now applies, that these rulers, they want to hide the loot that they are doing of our wealth, of the citizens' wealth, of the mineral wealth of the country. So they hide it.
So you bring us to the basic crux of the matter, that what is to be hidden is corruption. Everybody knows it today. So when we talk of democracy, participative and representative democracy, it should have been the transparency in the administration and governance, nothing to hide. But because there is no transparency, because there is no accountability, we have corruption. So how to tackle this aspect of corruption through right to information?
Yes, you see, the first thing that citizens have to do, they have to be very agile. They have to study what goes on. Now there are certain indicators which citizens should look at. For example, if a decision is taken very fast, because you know in government nothing moves fast.
Correct.
But if a decision is taken say in 24 hours, you can be 100% sure that there is corruption. They are favoring someone. Second is, if decision is delayed too long, because I have got examples in Pune where after a particular standing body, they approve a decision, it lies with the chairman.
Correct.
For 15 days, 20 days, 15 months, we have taken out that information from Right to Information Act, using the RTI Act. And we found to our horror, there are certain decisions passed by the standing committee have never been implemented, never been passed down to the administration to implement. The reason was very clear, because how it struck us that in the general body, one of the ruling party councillors, he openly accused the standing committee chairman of accepting bribes. And he said that that works of my ward, they are stuck with you because you have not been paid the bribe.
Correct.
Then it struck us. This second indicator
is a delay in the decision.
If there is a delay also there is corruption, if it is very fast also there is corruption. If they try to hide it, that means any proposal is quietly passed without making a fuss, not telling the media, not telling the newspapers, there is definitely corruption. Now, if the same proposal comes more than once for approval, you can take it there is corruption.
Okay.
I mean, you approve it once and you find after 1 week the same proposal goes back, revised for no reason, apparent reason. So, these indicators should be kept in mind by the citizens or by NGOs, I will say even by the media. And they must then use the RTI Act and get all information about those projects.
Correct, sir. So, you bring us to two aspects. One is transparency in the governance. Now, as far as transparency in the governance is concerned, our Right to Information Act enables the citizen, tells the government to give voluntary disclosure of information. Maximum information should be given out under section 4, but we find that governments are most reluctant to release this information. If it is given in public domain, citizens can know. So, here one aspect, how you find it in Pune for instance, and how you people tackle this with the governments?
You see, in Pune for example, after a lot of struggle by NGOs and I will say by some journalists who are adept at Right to Information Act
and getting the information,
and with the active help of the then Information Commissioner in Pune, they convinced the Commissioner of Pune Municipal Corporation that section 4 best way to commence making information available to the public was to allow the public free access to any file on a particular day.
Okay.
So, Mondays, every Monday 3 to 5, anybody can come, I mean anybody in the sense a citizen of India with due identification, he can come, he can say I want to see, say a particular project was approved, I want to see that whole file, how it was approved, what notings were made, who agreed with it, who did not agree with it. Now, this has been in vogue now for almost 2 years.
I see.
It has worked very well. I will say that it is better than nothing. It is certainly a step forward.
Correct. But sir, you said that for this you got the help of the state commissioners of information.
Yes.
Let me share with you that Goa for more than 1 year, we do not have neither the chief commissioner, chief state commissioner, nor we have another commissioner because we have 2-member commission. But both are not there. Therefore, pendency of appeals as well as complaints is piling up. And in these circumstances, there is no the final authority for appeal and simply there is no system for the people. How you respond to this kind of situation?
You see, this has happened in Pune also. We have had the unfortunate spectacle of not having information commissioner. We have had the unfortunate spectacle of the information commissioner being replaced by another person who, I mean, I am not here to criticize anybody, but unfortunately, he has stopped taking hearings. He takes looks at documents and gives his decision. Now, I think it is not right because you must hear both sides. I am not saying only the appellant, but both sides he should read.
And court also suggested that it is almost
like a court.
Like a
but
process.
He does not do it. Then many cases what he is doing is, he just informs the PIO that please give him information within 21 days.
Okay.
Now, I think this is not right. And what you said is, I am 100% with you that this has affected the use of the Right to Information Act. I will come to another thing, and I don't know, I mean, I may be making a bit of a controversial statement, but I feel from Nagrik Chetnand has done a very deep study on this, and we feel that this act has really bitten the political class. Big scandals have come out.
Correct.
Big wigs have been put behind bars by the use of this thing. Now, I get a feeling, and I hope I am wrong, that there is a there is a systematic conspiracy to see that this act does not work.
So, every time we find one hurdle or the other. But still, sir, another aspect we will come to. You only earlier suggested that in Pune, you got the cooperation of some good journalists.
Yes.
So, do you find in our country overall that media has been very helpful, or it needs to do more in terms of getting people more and more information and more access in terms of RTI? How you describe this relationship?
I think 2005 this act came into being. I think for the first almost 5-6 years media was absent from this act.
Yeah.
Because I know it, we used to get calls from correspondents that have you got this information through RTI? And we used to give them because I thought the best way is to publicize
share the information.
But now I find that media has started going into it. Major newspapers and I think some electronic media, though electronic media is not yet fully in it, but the print media, they have got into it. I see in many major newspapers, they have got separate sections where RTI is being used.
And I contribution of people, activists like Subhash Agrawal is more, because I find he shares, like with me also on email, he shares his regular information from Delhi.
Yes, correct. There are people, and I think RTI activists are always cooperative with the media. Always, because the aim is the same in both cases. Is to improve governance, to bring in transparency, to empower people.
But what we find is time and again, we find that the central government also makes statements which look like they are in a, as you said, they are in a hurry to scuttle the act. So, how to go about, how citizens have to build themselves so that this, not only this act remains, but it becomes more and more effective. What are the ways you feel that citizens should do this, or NGOs should help?
No, I have another thing which we have observed is the politicians, they always buckle under the pressure of public opinion. And I think that, as you very rightly said, NGOs have to do it, because a person, a citizen can't do it. But NGOs can do, NGOs should get together, the media should get together and build public pressure. Like, you know, when they had said that there will be no, they will not give notings in the file. But it was the public pressure and the media pressure which prevented them from doing it. And I think now again time has come when we have to rise against this. That is the only way that government will stop. And I think these things should be done as elections come nearer and nearer. Because at the elections a very sensitive time. And that is the time when they will not do anything. And we should exert our pressure on political parties to put it in their manifesto that they are going to strengthen the act and not weaken it.
Sir, another aspect which is related to RTI, we have seen that some of the states and now the center is also trying to get grievance redressal and timely service guarantee act. Our government has also mentioned that in this ongoing session, they will table the act. Just tell me, many people say that this would be the second RTI kind of act. So, in that sense, have you any idea how this mechanism will help to strengthen further the public seeking for information and getting timely services from the government?
Yeah, you know, actually if you go and see the Government of India website, it very clearly said that the RTI Act is to empower people, is to contain corruption, and it make people participate in governance. Now, this act is not meant to resolve personal grievances.
Correct.
But what has happened today, you see, it becomes a vicious circle. Because there is poor governance, people have grievances.
Correct.
Now, because they have grievances, there is no good governance. Because the machinery like RTI Act, which is meant to improve governance, is being used to resolve grievances.